They say you have to spend money to make money. But exactly how much money do you have to spend to make money? This is Bored at the Board. This is a US penny. It weighs 2.5 grams and is made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. At approximate current market prices of $1.45 per pound of zinc and $3.20 per pound of copper, the metal content in a penny is worth about 0.8 of a cent. However, this was not always the case. The still circulating pre-1982 penny, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, has metal worth approximately 2.1 cents inside of it. Because of this, in 2006, the United States Mint made it illegal to melt down pennies for their metal content, as well as nickels. Other coins are worth so much more than their metal content that they aren't worth destroying. So, we fixed the problem in 1982 when we changed the composition of pennies, right? Nope. There are costs involved in making coins other than the metal, such as labor and transportation. According to the United States Mint, for fiscal year 2016, 56 hundredths of a cent were spent on the metal in the coin, 92 hundredths of a cent were spent on labor, and 2 hundredths of a cent were spent on distribution, totaling 1.5 cents. Also shown here are the cost breakdowns for nickels, dimes, and quarters. Despite pennies and nickels costing more than they're worth to make, which we'll get to in a moment, the government still makes a profit off of coin production because of the high profit margins from dimes and quarters. Based on the cost of making and distributing all of the coins and how many of each coin they produced, the Mint was able to calculate that they made $668.5 million in profit for the United States in 2016. This type of income for a government is called seigniorage. Basically, it's the profit made because of the difference between the face value of money and its cost to produce. Seigniorage is the basis for the common argument, why don't we just print more money? Indeed, for a brief moment, in 2012, it seemed like the government might try to mint a $1 trillion coin to deal with the debt crisis. This idea was soundly rejected, for a very good reason. For about 5 years, until 2008, the government of Zimbabwe issued enormous sums of money, including the now infamous $100 billion bill. This resulted in a staggering estimated 50% of the government's income coming from seigniorage. The rate at which new money was made, however, made it continuously worth less, to the point where if you didn't spend your money almost immediately, it was worthless. If a $1 trillion coin were used as a permanent solution to the debt, a similar effect could occur, making the United States dollar essentially worthless. So, clearly, creating more seigniorage by creating more money is not a sustainable way to increase revenues. But a country's revenue gained through seigniorage can be increased in a different, sustainable way. To examine this, let's return to the predicament posited at the beginning of this video. Pennies. And nickels. These coins cost more to make than they are worth. They create negative seigniorage. Nickels, weighing 5 grams and being made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, have an obvious solution. Using approximate current market values for nickel and copper at $7 and $3.20 per pound respectively, the metal content in a nickel is worth about 4.5 cents. If we were to change their composition to that of a penny, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, that price would be approximately twice that of a penny, or 1.6 cents plus labor and transportation to make a final cost of 4.93 cents per nickel. This would generate a small profit of about $1 million, and we would be saving the $44.2 million we're currently wasting on the approximately 1.5 billion unnecessarily expensive nickels we produce each year. Pennies, on the other hand, are a little trickier because of their low face value. One metal which is both cheaper and lighter than the current zinc-copper mixture is aluminum. In fact, in 1973, the mint drew up plans to release a mostly aluminum penny the following year due to rising copper costs. They minted 1.5 million of these aluminum pennies, but once Congress declined to formally issue them after hearing objections from the copper and vending machine industries, they were all destroyed, save for about a dozen, which escaped into the wild. The mint, to this day, maintains that owning one of them is illegal. If, however, we were to make a 100% aluminum penny with the proposed specifications for the 1974 cent, weighing 937 thousandths of a gram, at approximate current market aluminum prices of $1 per pound, the metal costs would come out to about 1/5 of a cent. For the 9.1 billion pennies made in 2016, this would result in savings of $55.9 million. There are, of course, some downsides to this, even if we did get around objections from interest groups. Pediatricians noticed during the 1973 proposal that these new pennies would be a health hazard for small children, because if they were ingested, they would be difficult to find due to aluminum looking almost exactly like the tissues in the throat and digestive system on an X-ray. Another problem is that 1 cent just doesn't have much purchasing power. Parking meters and vending machines, for example, have long since stopped accepting pennies. Most pennies don't even circulate, simply stuffed in a jar somewhere or lost in couch cushions, defeating the entire point of money. In fact, simply eliminating the penny entirely in 2016 would have saved $45.6 million, despite the fact that 91 million fewer dollars of currency would have been made, and these $91 million could easily be replaced with other coins. To some, eliminating the penny seems like a drastic step, but it wouldn't be unprecedented. Canada, Australia, and New Zealand have all eliminated their pennies, and even the United States eliminated its halfpenny in 1857, back when it was worth more than a current-day dime. So, what kind of savings would we see if the mint made $91 million worth of other coins to replace the pennies? Assuming that the mint made the 91 million out of the same proportion of coins that they currently do, 39% quarters, 21% nickels, and 40% dimes, using their current version of the coins and assuming that labor and transportation costs are the same as in 2016, a total of $34.5 million in seigniorage would be generated, which, when added to the $45.6 million saved from eliminating the penny, would lead to a net gain of $80 million a year. This, of course, is entirely dependent on the mint making their coins out of the same materials that they do now. As we showed with the nickels earlier, changing the composition of coins from their current forms to that of current pennies can save a lot of money. If we use coins of this new composition to replace the 9.1 billion pennies, the profit jumps from $80 million to $98.5 million. And, with our current production of these three coins, in addition to saving $45.2 million from nickels, we could save $29.9 million from dimes and $59.5 million from quarters, for a total savings of $134.6 million. That means that if the United States were to make two simple changes, eliminating the production of the penny and making nickels, dimes, and quarters out of the same percentages of metal that pennies are currently made out of, it would immediately have another $233.1 million of income every year. This is about 8 3/4 times the amount that the United States government spends on PBS every year. It is enough to pay the salaries of the president, the vice president, all 9 Supreme Court justices, all 100 senators, all 435 congresspeople, and all 6 of the representatives of the territories for nearly 2.5 years. So, to recap, seigniorage is the difference between the face value of money and the cost to produce it. Pennies and nickels, with their current compositions, thus have negative seigniorage, because they cost more to produce than they're worth. resulting in a net loss of $89.8 million a year. Nickels could easily be switched to the current composition of pennies to save these millions of dollars previously wasted, but pennies are just not worth enough to justify keeping them, even with altered compositions. By eliminating the penny, however, and producing more of other coins to make up for the money no longer being produced, we would not only eliminate the $45.6 million lost on pennies each year, but make an additional $52.9 million. If we changed all of our current coins to the composition of pennies, we could save $134.6 million, and if we used coins of this altered composition to replace pennies, our savings would amount to a whopping $233.1 million a year. Sure, in the grand scheme of the United States budget, this may not seem like a lot, but while it certainly shouldn't be the only battle fought in the war to lower the budget deficit, it is simple, harms no one, and is guaranteed to create a profit, so maybe, just maybe, it should be the first. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Thank you for watching Bored at the Board.